council has to approve that on the first and second reading.
Okay.
And then he would show that whatever the savings, $10,000, I believe it is, that he would want to use that to buy more computers. And we all know that if you call and your computer breaks, he's going to bring you one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's coming out of that money,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and so it's whoever it is, whatever department it is, it's not to buy computers. And I know you understand that, but
Well,
so we can, I think I'm okay with the money not being used for that, but just when it's not going to help somebody that's struggling out there.
And let me kind of clarify. Frankly, from my perspective, you're the general manager of this corporation.
Yeah.
You are the city manager. We're part-time legislators. So for us to get down into the minutia and try to dictate where he spends a line item is crazy. I asked the question because we have encountered this in a number of situations. I trust you to be able to make the differentiation between this particular situation and some of the ones that we've encountered in other years. I just want to make sure that we're all aware that there is a difference and that you have clearly stated what that is.
Yeah, well, and that's it. You know, it's certainly,
Okay.
I don't know what department, who's going to call tomorrow and need it, but when they call, he can say, oh, I can bring you one.
Okay.
That's what that money would be used for.
Okay. We've got Councilor Thomas.
Director Tully, if we do this this reclassification piece, does it decrease the number of employees in your department?
It neither increases nor decreases. It keeps the number of employees the same.
So the salary savings comes from?
Long-term employees who retire, like he had an employee to retire and the salary may have been a J-step. And so, you know, and when he hires a new person, obviously they're going to be hired at a lower salary. And he's at several of those to occur. No. They were, if
Would you put up the chart that you had
yeah, if
there?
you're a 20J and you retire, I'm just going to use a number, it's not real, and you make $50,000 and I hire you as a 20A and you make $35,000.
But if you elevated somebody to a 22 and they're at a lower step, they're temporarily, but their ceiling is a lot higher than the person that is retired. You see what I'm saying? If a 20 retires and you give somebody a bump to a 22 at a lower step, that budget is going to increase
Well,
because
no.
you now have a higher.
Yeah, well, that person is already at a certain point, and if you move them 3 steps, it's 2.5% per step.
Right, and it's asking
So they
just for
got
one step.
A 7.5% increase.
And the reclasses are because when we sent the job descriptions to University of Georgia, it came back that the network engineers are 21s, and we actually thought that they would come back probably at 19s or 20s, but University of Georgia actually said that it fits in here, and the people that we need moving forward are actually that job. So it's not that I chose to move someone up in grade, because the grade are like the 20, 21, 22s. It's that the University of Georgia job description actually says that's what it is. On the step increases, it is just what you were describing. And one of the things, though, is that you really don't have a permanent increase because, again, council has to approve any steps moving forward. So they would actually be there and only get the 0.005% moving forward. So does that kind of... But that's why the reclass is asked for, because the job description, when I turned it in, actually says, if they do this, this is what they are. And we have several job descriptions that really don't exist as a fact in the city anymore. And one would be the host operator, supervisor. We don't really have such a person. That's a job title someone has, but the job duties need to be network engineer. We have someone that's called a PC specialist, but But that's not necessarily the job that they need to be doing. So when we actually took it to University of Georgia, they came back and said, this job equals this. And with some really, really high-step individuals retiring, it allows me to do a salary savings and get the actual position University of Georgia said was for the job.
You said that for this fiscal year, it would be a $10,000 savings, approximately.
Right, and actually, Finance did an estimate, and this is low, but I wanted to make sure that I was more than accurate because I didn't want to.
And if this goes into effect, what kind of carryover do we have into next year's budget in FY17 budget?
It's actually a salary savings in real dollars, next year's budget too. So moving forward is actually a salary savings in dollars for what was approved, yes.
So the salary savings that we calculated was from the implementation date to the end of the fiscal year. So in a full fiscal year, it would be more than the $10,000. Because you'd realize that savings over the entire year.
Now, say that again, Ms. Hodge.
We did the salary savings just getting us to the end of the fiscal year, but for a full year, it would be a higher number because you're going to realize that savings throughout the year instead of just through 7 months of the fiscal year. Because the total salaries are going to be lower to the end of the fiscal year, which would carry into a full year next year.
Okay. I do have some concerns about using the salary savings for other items in the department. I understand where you're coming from. I understand all of that, but I wish I had a nickel for every time that we were told that you can't spend that salary savings. It goes back into the general fund. It doesn't belong to that department. It goes back into the general fund, or whatever the savings may be. And I understand where you're coming from, but just know that I have some concerns about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I think that concludes discussion. Thank you, Mr. Tolley. Dr. Tolley, thank you.
Okay. We'll bring that back on first read at the next meeting. Ms. Newman is going to talk about speed tables, but before she does, I will just make this announcement. You saw an ad in the newspaper about looking at the railroad crossing at Lemoore Street, and they went out and had a public meeting, and about 50 people showed up, and they were very vocal, opposing the proposed closure. And they felt like the crossing route was vital to their neighborhood and the public services they receive. And so I would just tell you, I was not able to be there. I had a conflict, but I was shared with Dr. Dorsey and Donna Newman about the meeting, and based on their experience there, they heard the people loud and clear. And so we're no longer going to pursue Lemoore Street as a closing. So just for your information, wanted to make you aware of that. With that, Director Newman.
Let's move forward. Just a quick reminder about our neighborhood traffic calming program. We only apply it in residential neighborhoods, not in commercial or industrial. It's for local streets only. That's at least 750 feet in length with at least 500 vehicles per day and only on publicly maintained streets. The process is, with the request, an initial petition is signed by more than 20% of the affected property owners, and we do a map and provide it to the individual that's coordinating the efforts, and they get the signatures. Then we proceed with a traffic study. 85% of the speed must be at least 10 miles an hour or higher than the posted speed limit. And if it meets that qualification, then we get a second petition of more than 65% of the affected residents. And then a public meeting is held in the neighborhood to talk about the proposed table locations. Since 2008, when we started the program, we've completed 84 traffic studies. Only 8 of the 84 have qualified for the installation of speed tables. Approximately 75% of the traffic study requested are not carried out due to the citizens' failure to return the petitions. A lot of them will request it, and either they don't completely get all the signatures that are required, or they give up. Adjacent streets without speed tables typically have an increase in traffic volumes and speed, so if you slow them down on one street, they'll just move a street over, especially if they're parallel streets. Speed tables that have been installed so far: Gettysburg Way, Wilder Drive, Rosewood Drive, and Celia Drive. Before and after studies indicate the average speed reduction was 8.1 miles an hour, and the average daily traffic reduction was 384. A lot of people find alternate routes because a lot of people don't like going over the speed tables. This is an example of a speed table. This one happens to be on 18th, down around Lake Bottom. This is one in the neighborhood. These are the manufactured that we're using now. Streets with speed tables that were not part of the Neighborhood Traffic Common Program that were put in as part of another project are those, of course, on Broadway. We'll be installing some on Front Avenue now that a lot of the activities have ceased in that area. Dillingham Street has the one pedestrian crossing. 18th Avenue and Bay Avenue. I'm sorry, Front Avenue has theirs. Bay Avenue is where we'll be installing the new ones now. This is kind of a map showing the general area of where we have some installed, and the green is those that have been approved and we don't have funding for. You ask for cost, and it's basically $8,000 in material, $2,000 in labor and equipment. This is something that traffic engineer goes out, lays it out, and Public Works. I have to get assistance from Public Works to install it. As far as the complete process, approximately 22 hours of traffic engineering staff. That's the staff in the office time. And then there's approximately 84 hours of traffic engineering staff field labor for the installations. These are the ones that have completed the process, and just kind of gives you some data on the locations: Canterbury, Wellborn, which was mentioned earlier, Willett Drive, and Pinecrest Drive. And you can tell what the speeds are, and they more than meet the requirements. You ask for cost. These are the estimated number of speed tables for those locations that meet it, and it's approximately $128,000, and that's just material cost. That's not including our labor cost. One thing I do want to note is we ceased this program, if you recall, back during the budget process when I came before you, and we were talking about positions that have been frozen. We no longer have the staffing to do this program because we have to do our normal maintenance on our facilities, and this is something that was added to their primary job. So we ceased the traffic calming program because of staffing shortages. So that's the reason some people may have requested one and haven't gotten one. We maintain a list, so if we reinstate the program, then we will have the list and proceed with the process for each one of those.
All right.
Any questions of?
Yeah, we have Councilor Barnes.
Just to follow up on Mr. Brown when he was here, the one for Wellborn that was in, what's it? Actually, it says 2000, what does it say, 2013 is when?
Yeah, 2013, January 2013.
2013. So as I was telling him, it takes that while, to be able to get through up in the streets. But if I can get I'll get with you on Sky Lake and Biscayne Drives, that we're able to add that, and I'll get Mr. Brown's contact information so we can send a petition out to him. This would be for Biscayne, for Skylake, this would be about the third or fourth one. Not since you've been here, but this will be the first for you. And so I'll make sure that I will get Mr. Brown's contact information so he can go through that neighborhood and get those petitions back to you.
Okay.
Okay.
And Director Newman, do you have, can you mention Rigdon Road?
Sure. Doc has a drawing. This is
Oh, wait, I'm
something-
sorry, we have Counselor
Okay.
Henderson.
I'll be brief.
We can go
I'm just
ahead
curious,
and-
how do we fund, where are you getting the funding for these? Are you setting some money, designating some money?
Well, typically, as part of the CIP budget, we've had like $50,000 a year that's been allocated.
Why wouldn't we, and I'm asking because I know every penny's accounted for, but why wouldn't we take a small portion of our local discretionary fund from the T-Splost and try to fund a couple of those anyway each year?
I think Deputy City
And
Manager.
She can respond to that, but,
Right.
and I asked that same question. You got to give up something to get something.
No, I got that. I
Yeah,
got that.
and
But-
so
but
it's a matter-
But the whole idea that discretionary was, yep, by district and also designed to have a hyper-local impact. So-
And
And
part
some
of-
of the funds we've talked about are getting away from that a little bit.
Right. Part of the transportation update was to provide council with a list of future projects that are under consideration. And I'd actually ask you to wait, and when we bring that back, we'll show you the priorities and the criteria that we've evaluated those future projects. And I think it's just a matter of prioritizing and the funding to go along, because we have projects that will far exceed the discretionary funds that are allocated based on safety issues, capacity issues for road improvements, roundabouts, and bridge improvements. So this is just another one of those projects that is on that list of projects that need
Okay,
funding.
well, I'll just save comment for that then. We'll take a look at it when you bring it.
Okay.
I think typically it's been paid for out of the paving fund in the past, and it's been like 50,000 for a year or a couple of years, and we've tried to do the ones on the list as they've come in when we've had the funding.
All right, just mention Rigdon Road quickly.
Okay. Quickly, as you know, we have resurfaced Rigdon Road, and as part of the Midtown project, we've received a request, and this was one of the areas that they wanted to look at, adding bike lanes for connectivity because of all the city services that's contained on this particular location, and start that network. So Doc tried to do an overlay, and I know it's hard to see because of the scale, but what it might look like if we added bike lanes.
Well, and basically from Rigdon back to
the-
Fern, and Fern goes back to about where the old Rigdon School, elementary,
Yes, just
south of the old, yeah, the school.
where the width of the
And-
road
and
narrows.
In that section, it's currently 4 lanes. It would go to one travel lane in each direction, center turn
Center
lane,
turn
and then
lane.
you'd have a bike lane on each side of
Each
the
side,
street.
correct. Buffer
For that
bike.
short stretch from Rigdon to Fern.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It dovetails, Councilor Hoppenheim.
Oh, wait, hold on, let me get you, Pops. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Councilor Hoppenheim share that.
Yeah.
Because he has Fern Street, but I have the other side, but we both share Rigdon Road.
So what's the distance of that? That's about, it's from Macon
I think
to
he
Fern,
calculated it at 0.3 miles.
0.3 miles.
Yeah, and that's about right.
So,
that's
and so it
about
would look
1,500
something
feet or
like
so,
this.
maybe?
Right.
And so we just,
Yeah, about
I see.
1,600 feet.
Yes.
Now, what's it going?
you have
Oh, I
bike
see,
lanes
I
on
see.
each side.
Yeah, I see, okay, yeah, that's
and,
good.
Yeah.
Travel lanes each direction,
Right.
center turn lane.
Right,
From Rigdon and Macon
right,
to Fern, just
To
past
Fern.
Rigdon Road School.
right.
Right.
Yeah.
Just pass, I think that's neat.
So we just, want to see, get your thoughts on it. Okay?
No further comments?
Okay.
Pardon?
Well, we'll proceed.
We
with-
can ride our bike to city council.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll proceed with
If
the
somebody
striping
drops you off
accordingly
at the
then.
corner of Macon Road, Macon Road, you can. Yeah.
Okay, well, we just wanted to share that with you since, I mean, it's an opportunity. Okay. Thank you, Donna. That concludes my agenda,
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Okay, we will now move into the clerk's agenda. And Madam Clerk.
Madam Mayor and Council, on the clerk's agenda, we have a temporary street closing application, has already been approved by the police departments. Just for the council's information, November 7th, a neighborhood block party. Item 2 is a resolution to change the November and December meetings for the council meeting. We'd like to change the November 24th to November 17th, and change December 22nd to December 15th, as well as cancel the December 29th meeting.
Okay, we've got a motion and second for approval. Any discussion? All those in favor, please state aye. We've got a motion and second that minutes be received. All those in favor, please state aye. Any opposed?
On our board appointments, Airport Commission, we are waiting to hear back from the Airport Commission for 3 nominees for Mr. Farnsberg position. Animal Control Advisory Board, we are still waiting to hear back from the Veterinary Association as to whether or not they like Dr. McDermott to continue. Board of Health, Ms. Jasmine Cartwright's term will be expiring the end of December. She is eligible to serve again. Yes. We'll bring this back at our next meeting for confirmation. Board of Tax Assessors, Ms. Cooperative Extension, Ms. Higdon is eligible. Yes. Also, on a hospital authority, we already have nominees for Mr. Smallman and Mr. Gaffney. They've both been renominated. We need one additional nominee to forward to the authority. Land Bank Authority, Mr. Hemmings has been nominated. He can be confirmed.
Got a motion and second for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye. Any opposed?
On our Keep Columbus Beautiful Commission, at our last meeting, you voted to approve this change. Now Ms. Bowling can be confirmed as the district's.
Got a motion and second for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye.
And also that includes Mr. Ken. Okay.
Okay. A motion to confirm Mr. Kendall, and there's a second. All those in favor, please state aye.
On our Employees Pension Board, the mayor is working on a replacement for Mr. Joseph Smith. On our Personnel Review Board, we've outlined the upcoming seats that will be expiring the end of December. Mr. Charles Hart, who is our regular member, is eligible to serve again. Mr. Charles Little, who serves as the alternate member, is eligible. Mr. Ron Mahoney, regular member, is also eligible, as well as Ms. Marjorie O'Shields Watson. Mr. Gerald Wyatt, however, is not eligible to serve another term.
Mayor, I'd like to renominate Ms. Watson.
Okay.
Okay. We'll bring this back. We have not spoken with them yet. We will make contact and let you know. On our Recreation Advisory Board, we have a resignation of Dr. Johnson for District 2. Councilor Davis, if you would work on getting us a replacement, as well as District 7. Then on our Taxi Cap Commission, Ms. Alicia Davis can be confirmed.
Got a motion for confirmation. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
And we are still working to get a replacement for Mr. Billy Kraft. On our tree board, Mr. William Consoletti, at-large member, he is eligible, as well as Ms. Ann Wright, and Mr. Chris Coakley, and Mr. Steve Smith is not eligible. We have not made contact with them, but we will. And then on the Uptown Facade Board, we are waiting to hear back from Uptown Business Association and Uptown Columbus as to whether or not they'd like these individuals to continue to serve it, as well as get a recommendation for Mr. Scott Allen and Mr. Fred Green, who are not eligible. And that's all I have, Madam Mayor.
All right. Counselor Davis.
Airport Commission, you mentioned that they would provide us with 3 nominees. I have a possible candidate that's shown interest. Can that person be included in the mix, or can I just go ahead and nominate the person?
Does it have to come from the Airport Commission? Well, then perhaps Counselor Davis could just forward it to them. Is that possible?
That is normally the case, or you can give it to me and I'll let Mr. Howard know.
Sure. I'm just looking for some
Yeah.
guidance.
I remember a couple of years ago, I had a citizen that really wanted to serve, and I just forwarded the name to them, and I think they did put it on. It's been a while, but,
Okay.
yeah.
Madam Clerk.
All right, does that conclude your agenda?
It does,
Clerk?
Madam Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right, we've got a motion to go into an executive session on a matter of litigation and a second. All those in favor, please state aye. All right, please clear the chambers. All right, have just exited a short executive session on litigation. No votes were taken. I do have 2 quick announcements. One, while we have been in session, one of our animal control officers, Ben Atkinson, was responding to the call of a vicious animal and was mangled severely, and so he's in surgery, and we're going to ask for his prayers at this time. I think it's just located to his arm at this point, but it is severe. It is very severe. So let's hold him in our thoughts and prayers as we go forward, and remember that people serve in so many different ways, and they do put themselves out there for us, and so let's think of him. Also, Councilor Woodson has asked me to just share with the community that her good friend and the civically involved Lefty Encarnacion, his funeral will be tomorrow, Wednesday, October 28th at 7 p.m. at the Ambassador of Christ Church on Milgen Road. And so, again, we will continue to hold his family in our thoughts and prayers with that tremendous loss to them and to our community. Councilor Barnes, did you have something?
Speaking about animal control, I would like to have as a referral back from the animal control that my concern about us being in compliance with CDC guidelines as far as the vaccination of the cats going out to the community.
Referral? Okay.
Yeah, because that was the one thing that when people heard our broadcast, it's the one question that they're concerned that
Sure.
they need to be, before they are returned back, we are not in compliance with CDC guidelines, which says it needs to be an initial shot and a year later, annual, a booster for the vaccination to be effective. And that is, for me, a health concern for the community. So I'd like to have a referral back from that.
Great. Thank you. We'll get that to you. All right. With that, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. All right. Is there a second? All right. All those in favor, please state aye. Great. And we will see you next time. Thank you.